So something to keep in mind. Cool. I'm sorry, Kate. You didn't have to be dragged into that. You're fine. You're good to go.
Amanda, one question. I'm
Ah,
Oh, now, yep, now I hear.
Now I hear.
Kate, you hear what?
Huge echo.
Okay, that's because.
I didn't change anything.
No, okay, it's not on you.
Okay, I had my mic open and I was sharing sound. That was the problem.
Gotcha.
Okay, Kate, quick thing. Do you have a button that says turn on original or turn off original sound on the top of your screen? Andrew, can you walk her through that, please?
I have turn off originals. Oh yes,
Sure.
yes. Do I turn that off? It's on now.
Okay, does it say turn off?
I just turned it on.
Okay,
And-
leave it on. I want it to be on.
Okay.
But when it's on, it says turn off original sound, which is very poor design.
Yeah, Kate, it's confusing. So the button should always read turn off original sound. That actually means it is on.
And it says turn on original sound right now.
Yeah, so if you click it, it'll change to turn off.
And I'm clicking it, and it says built-in microphone, and it's not clicking off. It was
Hold on, wait. So don't click the actual arrow, just click the button itself.
I'm clicking there's remove spotlight, turn on original sound, and then recording next to it. And adjacent to turn on original sound is the arrow going down.
Yep, click turn on original sound. Just click the button and it'll change to turn off original sound.
That is not out. Oh, there we go. Got it.
Yep. Okay, so don't click the arrow, just make sure you click the actual button and then it reads turn off. It's really dumb that Zoom has it that way, but that actually means that it is on if it reads turn off original sound.
Okay, great. And then what I'm just seeing going up to this, I see my slides because my slides is full projection, and I see on top of it is Zoom, and I'm not doing anything to this until they call me up and I say share screen. Correct?
Perfect. Yep.
All right. And then where in the lineup am I today? I looked, but I just don't have it right in front of me.
Let me see. It looks like you're around. So you're after Moshe Leibowitz. It looks like that's supposed to be around 12:53.
Okay.
And
I just
Frank?
because I watched them, but I don't want to step away. Correct?
Yeah, no, definitely. That's a good call.
Yeah, but you can have your camera and mic off.
Exactly.
We recommend that you keep your mic off until you're on.
Yeah.
Okay. My mic is going off, and my camera video stop video.
Sure. Yeah. You could just hang out in the meeting with your video and mic muted until we're ready to go here.
And if I have my video on, then it just has my headshot, correct?
Nope.
I believe so, yeah.
No, if you have your video on, we're going to see what's happening in your room. So you want to turn, if you stop video, we'll see probably just your name.
Okay, great. And then will I get a notice when I'm supposed to be turning it on, getting ready?
Oh, yes.
Okay, good. All right, Amanda, thank you. Appreciate it all, guys. Look forward to it.
Frank, are you here? Frank, are you in the building?
Yeah, I'm here.
Frank, I'm a little concerned because we have not checked in Moshe Leibowitz or Gary Austin. And I don't know if they even came to a rehearsal. So at the moment, we have no way of knowing what their tech is going to look like. I just want to let you know up front that at this point, we can't be responsible for what they look like. We can try. We can put them in a breakout room, but they're not able to share the video there. So Andrew can pop out and make sure they look and sound good, but we can't check their presentations.
Amanda, who did you say the other speaker was? I just see Moshe Leibowitz.
Gary Austin.
Where is Gary on the agenda for today?
Gary had to reschedule to CapCon5 as
Okay.
of yesterday. So he's pulled from the agenda and he's crossed out on our back end spreadsheet.
Okay.
And I will try to track down Moshe.
Cool.
I'm going to need you to update that on the one I can see here, or let me know if I need to refresh it or something, because I have to go by what's in here.
Try refreshing it because I updated it this morning, but I'll take a look as well.
I wonder if it's on a different sheet.
I still have him on CapCon5 working agenda.
Okay, hang on, I'll take a look.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like from the just going off the website, we have David Mead, who we Amanda sound checked earlier or tech checked earlier, and then Sean Ring, same deal. Moshe, I think that's the only person missing. Kate, we just did. There's an open pitch slot around 105 Pacific. Aaron Hagen, we already checked.
Okay, I'm still seeing Gary Austin.
On the website?
No, I'm not looking at the website. I'm sorry. I'm still looking at
Oh,
the agenda.
gotcha.
Amanda, that's what I'm working on now to double check.
Great, thank you.
But yeah, all those names, that's
Gary,
all I have
Gary
on the
is,
website.
Gary's a no-go. So Kate would be our last presenter of the day, and then are we doing?
Well, no, actually Aaron would be.
Okay, I'm not seeing Aaron on this list.
Okay. On the website, they added Aaron as pretty much the last presenter in the main room. And then after that, it's just breakout booths and then closing
I'm seeing
remarks.
the edits now, Adrian. Thank you. If you can make sure this one is updated, this is the one I have to go by. Thank you. Now, are we doing another fireside chat today? I'm also,
Yes, we are. We need to start in just a bit. So
I'm letting Sean back in the room.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I'm letting Alex back in the room.
Is Alex presenting today?
Nope. But
No, I am. I'm here.
Okay, great.
He still
Sean.
counts as a presenter, so
Guys, we have 1 minute. We have 1 minute. So
very well.
Amanda, for anything else you need, give me a call.
I won't be able to call you, but I can.
Okay, or DM me, whatever you need.
I can text you. Yeah.
That's fine.
where's Leah?
I'm sure she'll be here shortly.
Okay.
Sean, once again, I have to re-co-host you. I'm going to ask you to stay in the room. And if you'd be kind enough to add your company name to your login name, that'd be great.
Will do.
And Alex, you are not presenting today, correct?
That is correct. He's not.
Okay. But
Leah, are
Alex,
you in the room?
Alex, feel free to add your name, your company name to your screen name.
Guys, we got to get started. Is Leah in the room?
Yes, she is.
Okay, perfect. Let's let everyone in and let's get started with Leah.
Let's do it.
Frank, can you guys hear me okay?
I do.
Great, fantastic, thank you.
All right, let's let everyone in the room and let's get started with Leah.
All right, Frank, would you like me to start now?
Once we let everyone, yes.
Give me a second.
Good save, Leah.
Okay, let's get started. Welcome to day 2 of our 5th CapCon Healthcare Virtual Venture Conference. Another amazing day for companies, investors, judges, speakers, and guests. I'm Leah Lamar, and I'll be your CapCon MC. And actually, if you could mute yourself, if you're not yet speaking, that would be lovely. Thank you so much. If you're returning from yesterday, welcome back. We're pleased to have you here today. And we're excited to see all of our 7 post-revenue companies pitch today, along with 3 accompanying judges, 4 speakers, and over 100 investors. Tomorrow, we'll have our last day of CapCon together on Clubhouse. If you have not yet registered for Clubhouse, please contact us and we will try to help get you onboarded. This is going to be an exciting day, everyone. We'll start the conference with 4 company pitches, followed by scheduled networking appointments and booth time. And then we'll move into a fireside chat with all the presenters, culminating with the announcement of the winner of CapCon. If you not see the breakout rooms button in the bottom of your screen, please message either Andrew or Amanda, CapCon IT, in your chat, and they'll put you in a separate breakout room to help you upgrade your Zoom. Amanda and Andrew, if you could please say hello in the chat. If you have any further questions or technical difficulties, please either go to the CapCon IT breakout room or message them privately. If you cannot see the breakout rooms button, try clicking the 3 dots that say more and see if breakout rooms is an option. If it is not, you will have to update your Zoom, which only takes 2 minutes. The link will be put in the chat. I'd like to introduce our sponsor for today, Micra. Micra is the leading industry specialized CRO and integrated advisory firm that assists clients through the entire technology lifecycle, from strategic planning through commercialization. Micra's regulatory team, which includes many former FDA officials with combined agency and industry experience in the areas of cardiovascular, orthopedics, neurology, and digital health, provides best-in-class regulatory strategy support. Micra's reimbursement team works with many early-stage companies to define and execute successful U.S. reimbursement and market access strategies. Micra's CRO can fully execute clinical studies or provide support to companies as they take lead in study execution. The Micra team provides services to a wide range of organizations in the healthcare industry, including startups to the world's leading healthcare organizations. The full suite of integrated advisory services helps augment internal capabilities and processes, as well as ensure the ability to overcome regulatory and reimbursement hurdles. Thank you, Micra. We are honored to have you as our sponsor for the conference. Before we get started, I'm going to pass the baton over to our incredible tech support, Amanda, for further details on how to access the breakout rooms. Amanda, over to you.
Thank you, Leah. If you are not presenting, we highly recommend that you stay muted and keep your chat open for important information. If you haven't updated your Zoom this week, we highly recommend upgrading. It's very quick. You will need to leave the meeting and rejoin after updating, but we will let you right back in. The easiest way to upgrade is to just go to this link right here. If you're logged in as yourself, if you have an account, just click on your own little photo there. It will show you whether or not you need to upgrade. We also recommend that you stay in speaker view. If you look at the little icon on the very top right, you'll see an option for view, speaker view, and gallery view. If you go to gallery view, we're all very small. If you stay in speaker view, you will see the presenter and their slides and the judges when they're speaking. If the view appears to jump around, you may not have the most recent version of Zoom, because currently Zoom allows multiple spotlights. During this event, we will be using breakout rooms. They are not currently open, but when they are open, you can join any room you choose and interact with the presenters. Please check the agenda to see what time they are presenting so you don't miss them in the main room. The agenda is, of course, available at this website right here. When you're in the breakout rooms, well, first of all, let's talk about how to join a breakout room. If you click on either breakout rooms or more ... on the bottom menu, you will see the option of you will see the list of breakout rooms. Just click on the blue join to join any given room. To leave a breakout room, click the blue leave button, but do not leave the meeting. If you click leave meeting, you'll be out completely. You can use the original link to come back in. We will let you in as quickly as possible. If you are having major technical difficulties, you can chat with us directly. That's me, Amanda, or Andrew. We're both listed under participants as CapCon Tech, and we can answer most technical questions. If you have any further issues, we will invite you to the CapCon IT breakout room, the CapCon Tech room, and we can do our best to advise you there. Thank you. Leah?
Thank you, Amanda. I'd also like to draw your attention to the booths in the breakout rooms. Sean O'Brien of Genomind, Heather Potters at PharmaJet, and Dr. Clint Baird of Cura Digital Health Solutions, as well as Micra, our sponsor, have booths below. You can stop by at any point during the conference to get more information about them or their companies. We've also allotted 10 minutes of booth time in between speaker sessions. If you'd like to schedule a meeting with any of the presenting companies today, please either go to the booth to directly set up an appointment or find out further information, or you can message Adrian from the CapCon team to set up an appointment for you. Adrian, if you could please say hello in the chat, that would be lovely. Additionally, you may go to the CapCon management breakout room where Andrew from our team will be available to help you either schedule appointments or to get more information about any of the presenting companies. Thank you so much. I'd like to ask David Mead to be on standby and ready in a moment when we get started with company pitching. Before David takes the stage, I'll quickly run through our agenda for the day. For our post-revenue companies, and please everyone, if you could stay muted just while I go through the introduction, that would be lovely. Thank you so much. First, we have David Mead at Verigen Biosciences. They're a preclinical drug discovery company with products for biocontrol and ag tech and antibiotics and anti-cancer compounds for human health. Sean Ring at Avodamed, holding 9 patents with 20 claims each. Avodamed is the AI between the doctor and the patient with computer visioning that allows for vital signs, natural language translation, and integration of medical records. This live real-time video conferencing is aimed to exceed a face-to-face visit between doctor and patient. Then we've got Moshe Leibowitz at healables.io. They're a Jerusalem-based digital health startup with an AI-driven digital health coach and wearable electroceutical designed to accelerate healing in sports injuries, treat chronic illness, and manage and relieve chronic pain. You'll hear from Kate Lewis at Biofield 4D. BioLife 4D is committed to perfecting the technology to make viable organ replacement a safe, accessible, and affordable reality. With BioLife 4D, a patient-specific, fully functioning heart will be created through 3D bioprinting and the patient's own cells, eliminating the challenges of organ rejection and long donor waiting lists that plague existing organ transplant methods. And also, please see Micra's booth below. Finally, we've got our marvelous judges joining us for CapCon today. We've got David Uffer coming to us from Alira Health with over 25 years of management experience in the medical device, products, and clinical diagnostics field. He's led strategy development, strategic planning, and business development activities in these fields for mid and large cap public companies. Next, we have Jenny Rowe. Jenny founded Curious Reactor in 2017 with a vision to connect people to accelerate bench to bedside. In this venture, she developed a context-sensitive AI algorithm that predicts who needs to meet who to facilitate new working relationships. To date, over 9,500 connections were made, and some of those relationships resulted in investment, tech licensing, and partnerships. Dr. Asif Ali teaches and practices cardiovascular and preventative medicine in the greater Houston area. Often consulted for his services by pharmaceutical medical device companies, medical tech, and hospital systems, his expertise extends internationally beyond his private practice at Houston Cardiology Consultants. His administrative duties include being Chief Medical Officer, Chief of Education, and Chief of Cardiology in Houston area hospitals. Dr. Arkita Darun is a board-certified family and lifestyle medicine physician that serves as a thought leader in healthcare innovation. She's passionate about merging the humanistic aspect of medicine with the new field of emerging technology. Currently, she serves as an associate medical director for 98.6, a telemedicine organization. And lastly, we have Daniel Schoner. Daniel is an industry technology leader and has been working as an independent innovation consultant and angel investor since early 2020. During his corporate career with multinationals such as Roche Diagnostics and Perkin-Elmer, Daniel has directed late-stage tech integrations, global tech transfers, R&D partnerships, and held corporate leadership positions in business and R&D. In these roles, he was responsible for product portfolios for these companies that are now totaling around $2 billion in annual revenue. Thank you, judges, for being here today. And lastly, before we get started, here are a few things you need to know before pitching begins. There will be no selling or service providers at this event. We do not recommend selling at our conference unless you're expressly endorsed by CapCon. We have 2 IT techs, as mentioned to you earlier, to assist at any point in time throughout the event. Please message and reach out to Adrian to direct you to one of our IT supports for assistance if you're having trouble. Companies will have 5 minutes to pitch, And judges will have 5 minutes to open questions. Companies will be judged on pitch, product, team, and commercialization strategy. We ask that you be prepared for the time you present, and Adrian will personally send you a message in the chat when you're up next. So please keep your eye on your notifications. Thank you. Investors are to send a personal message to Adrian to coordinate and schedule a time in a company's booth room. She'll provide to you both the arranged time, or you may go directly to a presenter's booth yourself and set up a time to meet. As a reminder, the booth rooms will be open all day, and as well as by appointment booking. Judges, please have your score documents open to put in your final score for each company presenting today. And let the presenting begin. Our first company presenting today will be David Mead at Verigen Biosciences, preclinical drug discovery company with products for biocontrol and ag tech and antibiotics and anti-cancer compounds for human health. Natural products by design describes Verigen Biosciences' ability to produce a new generation of natural product drugs using synthetic biology tools that enables us to do what nature cannot, make drugs that work in patients. Let's give a warm welcome to David. David, if you're ready, I will put 5 minutes on the clock.
Hello, can you see my screen?
We can see you and we can hear you.
Okay, great. I'm David Mead, the CEO of Verigen Biosciences. And we're a synthetic biology company that is reinventing how we access nature's medicine cabinet of natural products. Natural products by design describes our ability to capture, engineer, and produce a new generation of natural product drugs using a new generation of synthetic biology tools that enables us to do what nature cannot, make and modify drugs that work in people, plants, and animals. Oh, sorry. All right, we're a genome and genome mining, metagenome mining company with world-class expertise in big DNA technologies from manipulating complex pathways that encode billion-dollar small molecule compounds. We have strong IP revenues and are looking to raise a $3 million Series A round. Here's a list of some of our customers, including global companies, as well as some of the most prestigious universities in the world. And I'd also like to point out that I sold my previous company for $70 million. Natural products are penicillin and other antibiotics and other medicines that have nearly doubled our lifespan from 47 to 78 years in the last generation and prevented untold suffering. Since then, even more amazing life-saving natural products have been invented. Approximately half of the $1 trillion drug market are small molecule natural products made by microbes and plants. And you can see the 4 natural products that we are pursuing as substantial market opportunities. Natural products are small molecule therapeutic compounds made by microbes and plants, and some of them are very complicated and can be difficult and expensive to manufacture and purify, especially semi-synthetic compounds that are chemically modified to produce better versions. 17S FD895 is a potent first-in-class anti-cancer compound for AML that can only be made using synthetic chemistry right now. And another example of one we're pursuing is cyclosporin. It's manufactured from a very difficult to manipulate fungal source. Using a new generation of synthetic biology tools, we can make these faster and more affordable. The synthetic biology process of generating new molecules from genome information is shown here. This is called genome mining, and it is so complicated it would take an hour to explain. However, the conventional methods can take 12 to 24 months or more. Using some of the new tools that we've developed, we can not only enhance the scale of natural product drug discovery and production, but most importantly, accelerate the process by tenfold, which is a major differentiating factor for our company. We can shorten the conventional process from 1 to 2 years to 1 to 2 months. Natural product discovery and production is problematic for a number of reasons. These pathways are very large, they're complicated, they're difficult to control and work with. We've developed these new tools to overcome these challenges. Verigen Biosciences has cloned and expressed very large clusters of DNA, such as those for the antifungal drug nystatin and the antibiotic vancomycin shown here. This is very disruptive technology. Our suite of proprietary genome mining tools is what differentiates us from others. As you can see on the left, we have cloned over 110 large drug pathways using our DNA trap methodology. This doubles the number of clone pathways described in the scientific literature over the past 10 years. Our genome expression technology, BGC Express, yields enhanced production of the final chemical compound. And as you see, the more intense colors in the right-hand panel showing 2 examples. These are very disruptive capabilities. And we can produce the end product metabolite from the clone pathways in our matched vector set of strains vector and strain sets. We can express therapeutic compounds in Bacillus, Streptomyces, Aspergillus, and a number of gram-negative strains, which gives us the best chance of making the end product metabolite of a cryptic VGC or something that's not quite known where it came from. Competitive landscape-wise, how do we stack up against others? We succeed where many have failed. A lot of the companies on this chart are current or former customers. And this is why we're now using our technology to generate our own drug assets instead of making them for others. So our business model to the path to very large returns is through the development of our own internal assets, faster and cheaper manufacturing of some of these compounds here, which is what the ask is all about. We are seeking $3 million in new investments, and the funds will be used to advance a novel AML therapeutic compound, to overproduce existing complex natural products such as cyclosporin and Taxol, and to overproduce a new variant of rifamycin for tuberculosis and a new compound to treat crop pathogens. Success in these efforts will further validate our technology platform and position us for strategic collaborations. Dr. Mead sold his previous company, Lucigen, for $70 million 3 years ago. Our leadership board has deep scientific, drug discovery, and business expertise, and all of the leaders are entrepreneurs, most of whom have started and run or invested in biotech companies. And I thank you for your attention, and here's my contact information. If you'd like to follow up with any issues, I'd be happy to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, David, for your valuable insight today. Sean Ring, you're now on deck. Please be ready to present after this judging session. We'll now open questions for the judges. I will put 5 minutes on the clock when the judges are ready and pinned. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation, David. A question, and I'm not a pharma guy. So what I understood from the mRNA vaccines, for example, is that it's so much cheaper to produce them synthetically. Now you're pitching here today and telling us the opposite. It's so much cheaper to make small molecules in bioorganisms. What is cheaper now?
Apples and oranges.
Those synthetically, or is it cheaper to produce?
So our technology is called synthetic biology. It's a new word for molecular biology. We can capture these big pathways that encode these small molecules, hundreds of kb of DNA, very rapidly in vitro, and put them into heterologous hosts to make them there. And we can rearrange the pathways to turn them on, make them produce more compound or variations of compounds. So the mRNA is made synthetically in a test tube. Our technology is in a test tube when we do the manipulations, but we put it into a host to manufacture it.
Hey, David, this is Jenny Rowe. Can you speak a little bit about your strategic reasons that you're going after the indications that you have right now?
Yeah, so a couple of things. We thought we were going to be a drug discovery company, but it's tens of years and a lot of money to get there. The fastest route to making money for our shareholders is to go to these very hard to manufacture drugs. Some of them are semi-synthetic. It takes $1 million to make enough for a clinical trial in 8 months. We can do it in about a month for a fraction of the cost. That's just one example. Cyclosporin is a really complicated compound made by a very ill-behaved fungi. We're going to rip it out of that one and heterologously produce it in a host that will be much easier to use for manufacturing. So this is a manufacturing play. Yes, we have a couple of molecules that are a little bit on the discovery side, like rifamycin analog. It's a brand new analog that will help with these really nasty tuberculosis types of infections and things like that.
Thank you. My follow-up question is, where does the manufacturing actually gets done?
Great question. So if we are able to overproduce this with the right genetic engineering tweaks and changes, and it's one of these things that is really overproduced, we would be very interested in making it ourselves. If it's a much more complicated, large-scale steel tank, 10,000 liters, whatever, we would prefer to license and outsource it that way.
And you have a formulation expertise in-house as well?
Not at this point. but we have people who, there's lots of talent here in town that can help us with that.
Okay, thank you.
David, could you be prescriptive on the $3 million capital sought in use of proceeds and key milestone?
Yeah, so can I go back to this one slide, please? That's a great question. There it is. So basically, we know these are the right molecules to go after. We're going to tackle them all at the same time. Some of them are going to be a lot easier to move forward into heterologous host and start the manufacturing process. So once we achieve overexpression of those compounds, we will partner for either licensing or sale of the asset outright, or manufacture ourselves for the right properties of these compounds. So it's all about having a 3-year runway to get these molecules as far as we possibly can. The last one on the list is probably the most complicated and hardest, so it's going to take the longest. But even if we are successful with 1 or 2 of these, it will lead to very successful collaborations and additional funding from companies. It's to pay to do the work and to chase down the business, basically.
Thanks.
We have time for one more question.
Me again, a quick question on the rifamycin analog. It's a drug that's very prone to resistance. Does your analog provide any benefit to that?
Bingo, that is the name of the game. If you don't address that, you don't have a chance in heck. And that's what's so exciting about this new analog. It solves one of those problems. And that's why it's going to be so valuable.
Okay, thank you so much, David.
Thank you.
Valuable insight today. Thank you, thank you. And judges, please mark your scores. And thank you, judges, for taking time to get further details. Our second presenting company joining us today is Sean Ring at Avoda Med, holding 9 patents with 20 claims each. Avoda Med is the AI between the doctor and the patient with computer visioning that allows for vital signs, natural language translation, and integration of medical records. This live, real-time video conferencing is aimed to exceed a face-to-face visit between doctor and patient. Let's give a warm welcome to Sean. Sean, when you're ready, I will put 5 minutes on the clock.
I'm ready. Thank you very much, Leah. Thank you all very much for your time here today. My name is Sean Ring. I'm the CEO of Avoda Med. Avoda Med is an advanced artificial intelligence company. We've created a service network where we apply the AI between the patient and the doctor. Our primary customer are the doctors and the healthcare providers. We're basically extending their services either from the hospital to the primary care or primary care into the home. Our revenue projections by 2024 are 105 million. I've developed and put together a management team that has over 77 years experience. I have 28 years experience bringing 3 tech companies to market, generating about 130 million a year in revenue by year 3. We're in the middle of a $5 million seed round. I need 1.5 to close this round out. We look to move on to our A round this spring. Before I continue with this video, I want to give you a little context. What I'm using in this video is a story to be able to show you how I'm applying AI between the patient and the doctor for diagnosis helps, as well as language translation. It's about 1 minute long.
Andy has congestive heart failure and is home from the hospital after surgery. Using Avoda Med technology, he is empowered to track his health in one place. Andy's primary care physician can provide better care for him by empowering Andy to check his vitals from home regularly. Using the camera on Andy's device, his doctor is also able to monitor how the incision is healing. Andy and his doctor are also able to communicate directly in real time through language capture and translation. Patients can connect with their doctors remotely with the same capability for diagnosis and treatment as an office visit. Avoda Med unlocks care through intelligent tools and services by improving care for you, your doctor, and your loved ones.
McKinsey & Company is reporting a 50x impact to the telehealth environment. Originally, it was slated to grow from 6 billion to 26.9 billion pre-COVID through to 2025. Post-COVID, it's been accelerated 2 years. We're looking at a market of roughly about 250 billion. That same report is showing that the saturated telehealth market pre-COVID is nowhere near able to meet the demand that's going to be post. We're already seeing that with doctors' requests today. Not only is that taking place, but remote vitals, better visibility, and longitudinal data for healthcare, not just triage, is needed. And they're not looking for a telehealth company to do it for them. They're wanting to extend their primary care and concierge care into the home. What we've done in response to this is put together a network and service that brings in artificial intelligence around data and patient analytics, but also highlights what's wrong with the patient and brings it to the doctor, along with language translation services. We've been able to move this tech into a phone, tablet, PC, and then custom application in like senior home living. We support over 150 vitals by a numerous group of vendors. Our competitive advantage, I hold 9 patents, 20 claims apiece around how we're utilizing AI with sensor technology, how we're applying it in language translation, our proprietary data set, as well as using it in our medical translation. Our revenue is 105 million a year to 2024 with a $25 million EBITDA. Now, these numbers are very conservative. I can give you a real detailed projection on how we're doing this with our assumptions later on. We've done an analysis on the telehealth industry. Most providers are applying AI and data analytics. They're not using it live in the middle of the video conference. I put together an amazing team that has a history of doing this with tech companies. I haven't stopped there. I've got a medical leadership group in pediatrics, primary care, concierge, and senior home living providing counsel. Our current investment of 5 million is converting this spring in convertible debt with preferred equity position in that conversion at a 20% discount. Again, I'm looking for 1.5. I look forward to answering any questions you may have, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sean, for your valuable time with us today. Moshe Leibowitz, you're on deck. Please be prepared to present after this judging session. We'll now open questions for the judges. Judges, when you're pinned and ready to go, I will put 5 minutes on the clock for questioning.
Guess I can go first. This was really fascinating with the integrated language and things like that. How are you guys planning to address the social determinants of health, just given that 20% of our nation's population is covered by 9% of doctors, and there's that access issue, as well as like with the inner city types of issues too?
Yeah, so there's 2 things in addressing that. One is we've got launch partners in Denver that are launching our product in direct primary care and then concierge and primary care services. But we're not stopping in already groups that need it and are aware of this need. I don't know if you know this, but Biden just passed the Office of Telehealth just 2 weeks ago to handle both remote telehealth support, as well as helping regulation and paying for groups to get into remote areas. So that is part of that $250 billion market expanse that's coming, and we plan on taking advantage of that.
Sean, thanks for the presentation. I really liked your competitive table. It's something that I haven't seen a lot in this conference. Give us some color on the vitals. You're partnering with distributors of gadgets. Who are your partners there, and how are you expanding the access?
Yeah, so we consider our platform more than just a video conference through an app. We're actually a platform that works with, like, WeThings is one of the providers we've partnered with, that they basically have a thermostat. I'm just going to give you one example to answer that question, where they take a temperature reading, and if it's 101.2 or higher, or I should say higher than 98 degrees, now it pings the platform. That platform texts the patient, lets them know, would you like to schedule an appointment with your doctor? Yes, and then it actually brings and keeps the conversation in text and televideo conference calls needed. And then it pulls up an app or a software-based web view that enables a lot of that tech. And to answer your question on vitals, we're not just using third-party hardware. We have a computer vision engaged that's taking skin temperature, pupil dilation, 5,000 points on the human body. We started this process by building a tech that would teach a computer sign language. So all of that tech that's visual along with hand really is being employed on the medical front, even down to the point where I can identify a rash like 98% possibility of Lyme's disease or poison ivy or so on. So.
Sean, are you using alternate vitals, or you just don't want to discuss the particular vitals that you're capturing or data points?
Well, the initial is with our launch partner. It's in Denver. He's a Harvard grad. He's got about 400 patients that are concierge and primary care insurance pays. And he's elected to have 5 different vitals at the launch here this spring that's going to take care of blood ox, blood pressure, heart rate, temperature, respiratory rate, and what else did I miss? No, I think I got them all.
Mm-hmm.
I had a, go ahead. Sorry, Daniel.
You know, to your vision system for measuring these for diagnosing essentially a rash, are you going for medical, for regulatory approvals for this, or what's your regulatory strategy?
Yeah, great question. We are bypassing, this is one of the issues of having a medical group, we're bypassing diagnosis. So what we're basically doing is suggesting to the doctor what possibilities are there for him to then take and decide what he wants to do next until he gets to a diagnosis. So our system's more of a helps, like looking at vitals over time.
Kind of, yeah. And then doctors have to diagnose, okay.
Yep.
So is there AI or is it like a chatbot that you've created, and then if it hits a certain word or parameter or vitals, it'll inform the physician? And then I had a question about interoperability in the EMR.
Yeah, so our current video platform has AI embedded, and there's a specific UI for the doctors and a specific UI for the patient. And it's popping up detail that's important for the patient and the doctor. And that's usually done at a request. Now, what we also have in that UI is a scheduling part of that application and EMR integration. So we are taking some of our language translation and transcription and working with the doctor to take that transcription and dump it into the EMR for billing and other annotated services that we plan on having that fully developed and done this spring with the doctors we're launching with.
So if you have to connect with other hospital systems and things not using your network and your programming, like say Epic versus Centricity, will they have to buy a new system that functions with yours, or will there be plugins to integrate?
Yeah, we're a middleware, so we're integrating with Epic and then also Athena and a couple others, and we're sticking with doctors that grab a big chunk of the market first, and that's our penetration. Now we're getting the product to the point where the concept is proven. I expect Teladoc and Amwell and some of the groups that are already out there to want to employ this in their current network. So we would expect to start looking at scaling the product into live Teladoc or teleservice networks on the back end, because we can white label. I had Craig Hovda with Blue Cross Blue Shield come to me and ask, can we white label it for their product? And we are very interested in that.
Okay, thank you. That is all the time we have for questions today. Thank you, judges, so much. And thank you, Sean, for your valuable insight today. Judges, please mark your scores. Our third presenting company we have joining us today is Moshe Leibowitz at Healables.io. Healables.io is a Jerusalem-based digital health startup with an AI-driven digital health coach and wearable electrocutically designed to accelerate healing in sports injuries, treat chronic illness, and manage and relieve chronic pain. The wearable electrocutically is designed as a consumer health device that docks with the Healables.io proprietary e-textile garments for self-administration at home, as well as remote treatment or in-clinic use by health and medical professionals. The Healables.io solution is HIPAA and GDPR compliant and ready for real-time remote treatment and monitoring. Pilot studies with professional sports clubs and clinical trials with medical organizations. Let's give a warm welcome to Moshe. Moshe, I will now put 5 minutes on the clock. Are you ready?
Okay, sure. Hi, Moshe Leibowitz, CEO and founder of Healables, Wearables That Heal. So chronic illness, opioids, and the chronic pain crisis is not just a US problem, but it's $1 trillion global crisis, with diabetes, chronic pain, and osteoarthritis as some of the biggest issues. Stanford Healthcare has pioneered an integrative approach where a team of psychologists, medical doctors, and physical therapists work together to treat the mind and treat the body, and this works. However, it's limited to top medical centers. It's just not accessible for most people, and it's not a scalable solution. Likewise, in the Cleveland Clinic, they've introduced microcurrent therapy with fantastic results. However, it requires a therapist and daily travel to the clinic. So again, it's not accessible for most people, and it's not scalable. So these solutions work, they're just not available. Introducing Healables, your entire integrative care team in one home care wearable. So we treat the mind with our digital health coach, and we treat the body with our wearable electroceutical, and that's Healables, wearables that heal. We accelerate healing, we reduce inflammation, and we relieve pain. And we've been able to build this integrative product because we have a fantastic team. One of the benefits of being based in Jerusalem is our access to top men and women. Our team comes from places like Johns Hopkins, Brown, Harvard Medical School, the Technion, which is Israel's MIT. And it's our team of electrical engineers, software developers, medical doctors, and professional athletes. I also want to mention Dr. Lowell, who is a retired colonel in the US Army who spent his career in research at Walter Reed. He's also has a successful exit selling his startup to GSK. So here's how our device works. We treat the body with our device docking onto textiles. And our textiles have built-in electrodes that deliver subsensory microcurrent electricity to the body. Subsensory means that for most people, you can't even feel it. And we also have built-in sensors that provide physiological information in real time. So we can close the loop and provide personalized treatments. And we treat the minds with our digital health coach via our app. For providers, they have a portal where they can provide remote treatment in real time, where they can change the settings when even if the provider is in one city and the patient is in another city. So really, it's all about the data. And we capture opt-in actionable data. We're HIPAA compliant, and we're ready for fully electronic clinical trials. Our competition is really much broader than just devices, but if we look at devices for a moment, we see that other devices on the market, they're just not wearable, they're not built into textiles, and most importantly, they're not smart. So here's the challenge. With our FDA de novo expected in 2023, how do we collect user data and build AI without FDA clearance? Well, the answer is that as a medical device, you can't. But as a wellness device, you can. So our first product line is actually a wellness product line that does not make medical claims, it does not require FDA clearance. And we even have a distributor, Zensa, which is based in Florida, but it's a national distributor of apparel that has agreed to distribute our product. Our second product line is a medical product, and that's going to follow the traditional pathway of regulatory and reimbursement. And we have clinical trials set up in osteoarthritis starting in March to support that, with a follow-up trial in diabetic neuropathy starting about a month later. Our hybrid recurring revenue model is 2/3 SaaS and 1/3 device. And if you look at our net revenue, we plan to be cash flow positive already in 2023. So here's what we're seeking. $5 million in 2 tranches. The first tranche of $2 million is to support our clinical trials, our sports pilots, and our sports product launch. So if you know somebody who's suffering from osteoarthritis or diabetic neuropathy, or struggling with opioids, here's your chance to make a difference. Let's make an impact together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Moshe. All right, Kate Lewis, you're on deck. Please be prepared and ready to present after this judging session. We'll now take questions from the judges, and once they're pinned, I will set the timer for 5 minutes. All right, when you're ready, take it away.
You mentioned that the devices could be personalized for the patient. How are the initial assessments completed?
That's a great question. So initially, we have providers that are trained in the technology, and they can make a traditional diagnosis and start off with the traditional approach. And then when they try the different therapies, they're able to figure out just with trial and error exactly what's going to work for them. Once we introduce the artificial intelligence and the sensors, then that whole process, instead of being over typically 3 or 4 treatment sessions, can be reduced to 5 to 10 minutes.
Nice presentation. Can you give us a bit more details on your clinical data or the clinical status of the device? I understand you go for wellness market first to be able to gather some of that clinical data, but what do you have in your hand and how confident are you that it's going to be clinically meaningful?
Right. So we're doing 2 approaches in parallel. Our go-to-market entry to get to market quickly is through wellness, but at the same time, we are going through the process of clinical trials. So we've already passed what's in Europe and Israel is called the Helsinki, or in America, it's the IRB, for our first clinical trial with the Wolfson Medical Center, which is a government hospital here in Israel. And that's going to be an open label study in 24 patients. The protocol's already written, it's already been approved, and that's going to be starting in March to demonstrate not just the safety and usability, but also efficacy and improvement in range of motion, medication reduction. And we should have the results already in April from that study.
Thank you.
And what are the endpoints that you seek to measure?
So the key endpoints are, again, medication reduction, range of motion improvements, and then more subjective measurements like pain and just overall improvement. There's a scale called for osteoarthritis called the KOOS scale that we have built into our app. So that, so that's going to, all those measures are, it's a standard scale that's used in osteoarthritis, and we'll have that improvement in that scale as one of the endpoints.
So as you go through clinicals, can you tell me just what the regulatory path and the claims that you're going to submit and indications for use that you want to have on from a regulatory perspective?
So again, for the wellness product, won't be making any medical claims. So that's our first product.
No, the clinical product.
Right, on the clinical product, we want to make claims not just on pain relief, which is one market, it's an important market, but we want to make actually claims on medication reduction and on range of improvement in range of motion, and so that really those are the key claims.
And you said that was the N of 24 in your initial study. Are you planning on larger clinical trials here in the US for FDA approvals?
Absolutely. We have a relationship with the Jefferson Medical Center in Philadelphia, and they just wanted to see a first trial here, and then we're set up for a clinical trial that would be a randomized control trial. Our system is can support fully electronic trials. Because our therapy is actually subsensory, we can deliver sham treatments and real treatments with no noticeable difference to the patients. So, and we can also have alerts that notify in real time compliance or non-compliance in the study while maintaining de-identified information. So it keeps the study and all the data clean, while at the same time making sure that there's compliance goes on.
So I'm curious what sensor is actually measuring while the treatment's going on? And is the advantage of having this as a built-in the fact that they can actually be wearing it all the time as opposed to when they're getting a treatment?
Exactly. The ability to wear this throughout the day is a huge benefit. One of the drawbacks of treatment today is that you have to go to a therapist and then you have a treatment session of maybe 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, and then you have to come back next week or whatever it is. But here you can divide up a treatment over the day and have it every day. And you can, because it's so comfortable, everybody knows how to get dressed. It's just clothing. So it's just easy, and you can get treatment all day long or for short periods throughout the day.
And the sensor measures what?
So we're starting out with sensors that are focusing on impedance measurements, and then we have a whole array of sensors that we're going to be building in. We have optical infrared sensors for measuring blood flow, and then the regular sensors, heart rate variability and oxygenation level, and other sensors as well.
We have time for one more question.
We can take one from the audience too.
Okay. If anyone from the audience
ask, is it like electrical acupuncture?
So actually, no. Acupuncture requires a really pinpoint accuracy. I actually have a background in 5-element acupuncture, so this is not acupuncture. The treatment placement of our electrodes is very broad and doesn't require the type of accuracy that you would need with electroacupuncture, and that makes it easier for textiles. So the placement is a non-issue.
Quick question. This is Dr. Rajni Hilani. I'm founder of the V-block technology, which is a neuromodulation technology. When you're measuring impedances, that can depend really on how the placement of the sensors is on the wearable. What happens when the wearable wears out? And are you supposed to, is that an issue with the impedance issues or the blood flow measurements?
So textiles typically last for 35 washes. They're built to last for at least a year, and they're electrically conductive for at least a year. We check impedance measurements every 2.5 seconds, and so if they wear out, we'll know pretty quickly, and then they would be replaced after that.
My point is, would it let the patient know? I think that may be a good opportunity to mention that it's not reading enough and it might need to be replaced. So that could be a revenue stream as well for you.
Absolutely. So the way the system is built, the patient interface is very, very simple. It's designed as a consumer interface where we really it's as simple as an MP3 player. And then the provider interface assumes that the providers, medical doctors, trainers, coaches are going to be more sophisticated and have more knowledge, and they would have more access to the actual figures and numbers and data. And but that's exactly right. That when it's time to replace components, then the patient would be notified.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your question, Doctor. And thank you, Moshe, so much. Thank you, judges. Please mark your score sheets. We will be moving on to our final and presenting company right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Moshe. Our fourth presenting company joining us today is Kate Lewis at BioLife 4D. BioLife 4D is committed to perfecting the technology to make viable organ replacement a safe, accessible, and affordable reality. With BioLife 4D, a patient-specific, fully functioning heart will be created through 3D bioprinting and the patient's own cells, eliminating the challenges of organ rejection and long donor waiting lists that plague existing organ transplant methods. Let's give a warm welcome to Kate Lewis. Kate, oh, hello. I will put 5 minutes on the clock when you're ready.
Are we ready?
You're
Hello.
ready.
Welcome, and welcome to BioLife 4D, and we 3D bioprint human hearts. And our goal is to make treatment for heart disease safe, effective, and affordable for all. With the human heart being bioprinted, we're using human stem cells. So from a simple white blood cell draw, we're able to put that into a 3D printer and print human mini hearts. So right now we have a prototype we have in place. We have held it in my hand, and it is pulsating, and we're developing this never to be transplanted. This is only going to be used for drug discovery, and this is it's using human cells, unlike what we currently are using in research right now. This is going to be the nether advancements to be able to be used. Taking the mini heart, we're putting it into a bioreactor, and never to leave the bioreactor, we're going to test vaccines and drugs. And this is to replace the cardiotoxicity test that is currently being used, and it's utilizing animals. Hold on. And the animals are the best predictor that we have right now, but animal hearts and human hearts are different. So we are going to be able to provide a better predictor for drug discovery. We do not need FDA approval. We are at the cusp of launching this mini heart in 2021, and that's why we're asking investors to come to the table. We're going to be using this mini heart for improving clinical development. So it's going to decrease attrition and risk in drug discovery. It's going to improve safety and efficacy outcomes, and also duration as well, because the animal hearts only last for maybe 3-4 hours. The mini heart will last for 30 days. So that is a breakthrough in its own. And it's going to be able to reduce clinical timelines for discovery. And the impact is going to be for pharmaceutical and CROs to be able to use a better mousetrap in the clinical cardiotoxicity testing. Our market and projections, I already have agreements with the clinical research organizations at hand, and to be able to validate and to be able to use in over 3,000 compounds that are shelved compounds that we already know what the outcomes are. We're going to be able to show better predictors and be able to utilize that and be able to bring revenue. What this will do as well is bring in an early exit strategy for our investors. We have an executive team that is well seasoned, myself being 25 years in transplant and in the pharmaceutical space, Dr. Morgan, and our CEO has had a large exit with Medtronics and a medical device company. So we're well seasoned in that space. And our science team is stem cell, transplantation, bioengineering, and sorry, I think I'm doing this. Sorry, strategic partnerships with Johnson & Johnson. We're part of the Johnson & Johnson family, so we've been a proud participant within the J Labs in Houston. We will never have brick and mortar. We will always conduct our science and all of our licensing agreements out of the Johnson & Johnson lab. We also have affiliates with all of the universities that we can as we go for scalability. Our management advisory team is well seasoned in exit strategies, pre-IPOs, IPOs, SPATs, and patents. Next, beyond the mini heart, we are going to be moving into bioprinting components of the heart. And components of the heart will be utilizing patients' own stem cells. So for cardiac patches, for patients that need to have repair or have a minor heart attacks and such, they can utilize their own stem cells to be able to create these patches. And valves in the market right now, we currently have cows, pigs, mechanicals, and the patient's going to be able to bioprint their own valves to be utilized. And in grafts for bypass, you have for patients that have to take the invasive surgery of taking vascular, will have to avoid that. So invasive surgeries will be avoided. Bioprinting using your own stem cells is obviously going to be reducing infection, rejection therapy reduced, and improve safety outcomes and timelines to recovery of the patient. And it's going to be superior over the current models that we have right now with animal and mechanical. Our pipeline, as we spoke about with the mini heart does not need FDA approval. It's the first to market, and that is going to be one of the abilities to be a early exit or a pre-IPO, and that's $1 billion market to date. I envision that that's probably going to increase because you're going to be utilizing that mini heart and moving it closer to the petri dish in the testing modules. The patch, the graft, and the valves will be partnered with large pharma, and they will be taking it through the FDA approval process. We will never be going through the FDA approval. It'll only be on a licensing agreement, and that the pharma will do the heavy lift of going through the FDA. Full-size human heart for transplantation. The first transplant is going to be in Israel with Dr. Morgan, who is our chief of medicine, and he's currently building out a transplantation center in Israel as we speak. And the transplantation market, as it sits right now, there's over 200,000 patients that are potentially on the wait list in stage 4 heart disease, and only 3,500 in the US were conducted. So there's a huge advantage being able to have your own cells being used for transplantation, which will reduce the amount of rejection and also the use of immunosuppressant therapy. So immunosuppressant therapy runs about $1,000 a year, and currently right now with the FDA and the approvals for transplant with Medicare, Medicaid, it costs about $1.6 million for a transplant, and we see that significantly being reduced. And what's a driver for this market is 1 out of 3 deaths occur from heart disease globally. And that's over 18 million people currently suffering from heart disease. We see those numbers increasing because of aging population, and also for surgeries being done earlier on the pendulum of treatment. And then we have also heart disease coming on the horizon, with more heart disease issues with obesity coming on the horizon. So as an investor, we see this as a possibility to be brought on board with $5 million, and that will be to commercialize the mini heart. And we're going to be able to use the revenues generated from the mini heart, which will be into the millions, to fund the rest of our science. We do not envision that we will ever come back for funding again. So this is an opportunity for an investor to be part of a pre-IPO or a pre-exit strategy. So thank you very much for your time, and I'd love to answer any of your questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Kate. We appreciate you participating today and for your valuable insight. After this next judging session, Aaron Hagen from MICRA will be presenting. Please be ready to present. All right, judges, when you're ready and pinned, we will put 5 minutes on the clock. Thank you.
Hi, Kate. As a cardiologist from the Texas Medical Center, I know a lot of the people on your board and number of the people actually in your organization, good people. Question to you, you know, it's a very lofty goal that you're trying to achieve. Questions, how much have you raised so far to get to this point? You say you need about 5 million to move into commercialization, that you feel that will supply enough money to fund the rest of the other lofty goals. And do you have contracts that support that you won't need to raise capital in the future based on the 5 million in funding that you need to get to commercialization?
Okay, so a lot of questions there, but hopefully I'll get them in sequential order. So currently to date, we've raised 4 million, and that's from seed funding, and also we also did an equity crowdfunding. So we put that out there, and once we bring on the $5 million investor, we will shut down the equity crowdfunding. And then next, as far as being in at J Labs and being able to scale out and bring the mini heart to market, yes, I have contracts in place. And for clinical research organization in particular that specializes in cardiotoxicity testing, and that is already laid out in play with the validation study, as well as implementation for compounds that are shelved and are being approved. And we've gotten and they service over the top 25 pharmaceutical companies. And that there is, yes, they're wanting and waiting for this. They keep knocking at our door saying, are you ready? Are you ready? And so we do have that. We have the expertise as well within the Texas Medical Center in that area. We're very familiar with that, which actually you're right there in Texas. And in the midst of the snowstorm, thank goodness we're there because we have redundancies and such there. So we haven't been able, disaster relief is in place, so we have that as a background. But also what it allows us is that there's a great talent pool that's there. So as we expand out, we will then be able, and we are interviewing at this point, but we're at a cusp right now for an investor that we're ready to go for the mini heart to fulfill that. And the mini heart, as I said, it's going to be quite impactful for the pharmaceutical space as in drug delivery. So to give you an example, I was with GSK and I launched Advair. I spent $500 million, or the team, $500 million to get it to the cardiotoxicity test. And if I failed, it goes unshelved, and then you're a shelved agent. So you have lost, $500 million. You walk away and have to start all over with another compound or another one in your funnel. So if you're able to use that mini heart and move it closer to the petri dish, you're going to save the pharma space and be able to create the funnels and be able to determine what compounds that really you need to move to human trial. So that cardiotoxicity test is required by the FDA to take 3 animal hearts out and inject the compound into it, so I can have the best asthma drug. If you get a heart attack, good luck, right? So it's actually a test that's required, but it's not regulated. So I've already gone to the FDA, already asked, they're all on board. If we can build a better mousetrap that improves safety, efficacy, and reduces the use for animals, the FDA is waiting as well. But we don't need their approval, but they just want it. I foresee that the mini heart will become a gold standard, because if you have a predictor model that you can use rather than an animal model is still a little unpredictable between animal and animal, we're going to be able to provide a mini heart that's in a manufactured format. And so that's where the dollars will come. There'll be a pre-IPO, or it's going to be an early exit and selling off the mini heart to pay for the remainder of the science and production moving forward. Did that answer your question?
It answers my questions. There's a lot of other questions maybe in the breakout room. I'll ask you, let my colleagues ask some other questions.
We have time for only one more question. Thank you.
Kate, can you tell us about the IP situation? How are you protecting?
Yes, we have IP that we have 2 IPs filed. 4 of them are gearing up for it. Underneath the Johnson & Johnson lab, the IPs are owned by BioLife 4D, and we have no obligation to Johnson & Johnson except quote unquote we're in the incubator. So when we go to market a product, we give them first right of refusal, but there's no contracts in place that we need to do that. I envision that we will take and they're very interested in the patch, because of the patch being an avenue to deliver more drug to the needed site. And so the mini heart, we're going to go with the launch of the mini heart, but that's where the IPOs come in as far as the cellular development and the bioprinting process, as well as 4 more coming down the pipeline.
So Kate, what would be the next funded project? Should you monetize enough through the mini heart?
We will be moving over to, we already have the prototype for the patches, and we will be moving to the patch, then to the valves. I've already spoken to the pharma space, and they're waiting for it to come. They have their own avenues of where each of those industries, as you saw, we're over $1 billion markets and growing. Just to give you an idea, and Edwards, I spoke with them, and they started out 2 years ago in a $3 billion market, went to $7 billion, and anticipated to go to $10 billion just in valves. So those individual markets in themselves will be somewhat standalones, and those will all be in partnerships. As I said, we will never go to the FDA. We will not have, we're not in the process of FDA. We will always provide them so that the heavy lift will be on the pharma side. And they're comfortable with that too.
Thank you, Kate, and thank you, judges, for taking the time to get further details. Please mark your score sheets. Okay, I'd like to introduce our incredible sponsor, MICRA. MICRA is the leading industry specialized CRO and integrated advisory firm that assists clients through the entire technology lifecycle, from strategic planning through commercialization. MICRA's regulatory team, which includes many former FDA officials with combined agency and industry experience in the areas of cardiovascular, orthopedics, neurology, and digital health, provides best-in-class regulatory strategy support. MICRA's reimbursement team works with many early-stage companies to define and execute successful U.S. reimbursement and market access strategies. MICRA's CRO can fully execute clinical studies or provide support to companies as they take lead in study execution. The MICRA team provides services to a wide range of organizations in the healthcare industry, including startups to the world's leading healthcare organizations. The full suite of integrated advisory services helps augment internal capabilities and processes, as well as ensure the ability to overcome regulatory and reimbursement hurdles. All right, Erin Hagen, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Just share my screen here. And hopefully you can see that. Could someone just let me know you can see my screen?
Yep.
We can hear you perfectly. Thanks, Erin.
Great. Okay, so MICRA is the leading therapy specialized CRO and integrated advisory firm. We have over 16 years of experience serving the medical device industry in the areas of clinical study management, US and international regulatory affairs, reimbursement, quality assurance, and healthcare compliance. MICRA has successfully led 15 PMAs and thousands of 510Ks, former FDA branch chiefs, reimbursement leaders in every therapeutic discipline, as well as biocompatibility and quality assurance experts. This slideshow shows some of the key milestones in the digital health space in the last few years. I won't go into too much detail here, but the key takeaway is the increase in digital health activity at FDA in recent years. As the world continues to become a more virtual place, I think we will only continue to see the amount of connected devices and technologies increase as the guidance and regulations, as well as the guidance and regulations from FDA. As I mentioned, we have been seeing a lot of guidances come out from the FDA around cybersecurity, especially recently. This slide illustrates all of the things that come, that come out of FDA around cybersecurity, especially, here at MICRA, we're committed to staying ahead of FDA guidance and future medical device cybersecurity regulations to help make sure our clients and their technologies are well positioned for success down the road. Here are some of the main digital health services we provide for our clients. These range from early regulatory strategy development to support with pre-submissions and eventual marketing submissions, including PMA, de novo, and 510K support. We involve our reimbursement team early in the regulatory process to ensure we understand the reimbursement and market access strategy so that our clients will be successfully paid upon FDA clearance and approval. Likewise, here are some of the cybersecurity services we provide. Our focus on device cybersecurity is to make sure we're mitigating risks for our clients' technologies and ensuring our clients can meet the FDA expectations in developing and maintaining a trustworthy device. FDA concerns for medical device cybersecurity doesn't stop with market approval, and they are equally concerned about the ability for an organization to maintain that trustworthy device throughout its post-market lifecycle. MICRA helps our clients develop, maintain, and assess their organizational cybersecurity to ensure they can not only secure their organization against cyber threats, but that they are able to meet those post-market medical device requirements. So thank you for listening today, and feel free to reach out to the email listed here, info@micra.com, if you have any questions, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erin. All right, everyone, we'll be taking a 10-minute booth break. If you've not had a chance to meet some of the presenting companies who pitched yesterday, please head to their breakout rooms. And after our 10-minute break, we'll have a fireside chat with all the presenters you've seen here today, which gives the audience and judges a second chance to ask them any unanswered questions. Additionally, if you'd like to schedule a meeting with the company who presented today, either message Adrian in the chat or head to the CapCon management room. Again, I'd like to remind you that tomorrow we'll be meeting on Clubhouse. The winner of our CapCon Clubhouse tomorrow will win a free presenter slot at CapCon 6. Pretty exciting. I'll be announcing the winner of CapCon 5 at the end of the fireside chat. Until then, please network in the following booths. Dr. Clinton Baird at Cura Digital Health Solutions, whose room will also host Heather Potters's company PharmaJet, Sean O'Brien of Genomind, and Aaron Hagen at Micra. PharmaJet, if you're unfamiliar, has created a needle-free injection as a standard of care in the vaccine delivery market. PharmaJet's innovative needle-free injection platforms have US FDA 510K marketing clearance. Sean O'Brien at Genomind is an 11-year-old digital mental health company delivering precision medicine to mental health patients and mental wellness consumers through its class-leading genetic testing and digital platforms. Dr. Clinton Baird at Cura Digital Health Solutions, whose room will also be hosting PharmaJet's room. Cura Digital Health Solutions is a health software corporation passionate about improving the delivery, navigation, and recovery from health events. They aim to leverage the growing power of artificial intelligence to reshape the way people interact with the healthcare and wellness environment. Our 10-minute break will begin now, and if you have issues accessing the booth breakouts, Amanda will be able to
If you're a co-host, please refrain from pausing the recording of the Zoom meeting. Thank you.
We will begin the fireside chat shortly. We're waiting for everyone to come back from the breakout rooms. Thank you all so much for your patience. Frank, I think you're here. Frank Aziz, will you unmute, please?
I think he's still in the Dr. Clinton Baird's room.
Nope, he's in the main room.
I think he has 2 accounts.
Frank Aziz.
Oh.
Yeah, he was just in one of the breakout rooms.
Tech, could we please pin all of the presenters in preparation for our fireside chat, please? Thank you.
Hey, while we're sitting here, hey, Kate, I thought you did a great job on your presentation. You have a really interesting company. That was Doug Rammel, by the way.
Kate, looks like you're muted.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that.
Oddly enough, I did something very similar, but that was 25 years ago at the University of Toledo.
And if you are a presenter, please turn your camera on so that we may pin you for the fireside chat. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Moshe. Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, lovely. All right, we will now head into our fireside chat with all presenters and taking questions from the audience. And if any of the judges have residual questions, please feel free to chime in. I see all the presenters are pinned. Excellent. Okay, after the fireside chat, I'll announce the winner of CapCon. For this CapCon, tomorrow's Clubhouse CapCon will have a separate winner. Okay, all booths will also be open for an additional 20 minutes after the conference. Thank you all so much. And I will try to get everyone who's in the other booth back into this room for the fireside chat. And now, audience, if you have questions or if any of the judges who are still here would like to fire away, please join us. We can either have you, if you're an audience member and you'd like to throw a question in the chat, if you'd like to raise your hand and come up to the stage, all are welcome. Don't be shy. If anyone in the audience has a question that hasn't been answered, please raise your virtual hand, or please throw a question in the chat, please.
Hi, Leah. A dialogue was taking place right before we started this.
We are waiting for reactions. You can use reactions to raise hands is what I'm seeing from tech. If that is easier for you to raise hands, it might be a little confusing.
Leah, can you hear me?
I see a hand raised. Excellent. Let's see. Dr. Raj Nihal. How do I spotlight you?
Nihalani.
There we go.
Like
Okay,
how
wonderful.
It sounds. Leah, thank you for coordinating this.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
My question is for Kate, actually, for the BioLife 4D. In your, you mentioned it's $5 million total raise, and then you're not going to raise any more. Is that because you're planning to exit out, or is it because you'll have enough revenue to continue doing your bio patch, or is that the mini hard patch?
Thank you for the question. We will have enough revenue with the compounds that I have in contract space to move to the next level of being with our patch and being able to partnership with our patch. At that point in time, it's going to make a decision whether we do an early exit or we continue on and making it a licensing agreement, somewhat like, if anyone's familiar with it, like a CRISPR, in setting it up as a licensing ongoing agreement. So that will be coming after we partnership with the patch.
I see. And just an extension to this question, what is a typical, so say if you do a contract with a CRO, what are you looking at? Is it a multi-million-dollar deal? Is it under $1 million? What are we talking about?
For the first year and for the compounds that have already been earmarked for us, for the first year, we're going to be producing 21 million from the compounds that have already been identified. And that's what.
Is there any way to send the information on the investment deal, like what are the terms, or what's the valuation right now, things like that? Can you send it to my email?
Sure. If you guys can capture that for me and provide an email.
Yeah, I think Frank's group can send that out to you.
Okay, lovely. Yes, and I will follow up with you, and I'll be glad to share that. I've created a data room that encompasses all of the information that is needed for an investor that I believe to date, as far as the SEC filings, because we're equity based, and so it's fairly transparent in regards to the way that that company is set up, as far as into the research and looking at the contracts in play. Those are all in our data room. So I just
brilliant. Yeah, I'll send you my email address, and thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have two people raising their hands. Also, Daniel Teo from Honeywell Ventures wants to talk with Kate. So very interested in investing in BioLife. Please, let's call up the people that have their hands raised. I don't know how to do that.
Say their name.
I exist.
Oh, there you are. Okay, let's add spotlight here. Okay, and then Steve.
That's Doug.
Yeah. Well,
Steve doesn't have video, but Steve, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't comb my hair. Two quick questions. Does Mini Heart pace itself, and what's the EKG look like?
That we're at those that's actually confidential information at this point in time, but you can see that if you do a confidentiality agreement with us and go into pulling back the covers. I'm glad to share that with you. The endpoints that we have with the animal heart, that's what we're going to initially develop as the endpoints to match them that we have with the animal heart and to exceed them with the longevity pieces where we have as far as duration of activity.
Okay, I may not sign the NDA, but I will direct someone who will to you, because it's actually another person I think who's most likely to. I'm not a cardiac guy.
Okay, sure, good. And my email information, and Frank can provide that with you. And if you communicate with me directly, I'll be able to fulfill your need.
Thank you.
Steve. That's Steve, and then we have Daniel Teo. Daniel Teo, do you have a question for Kate, or? But I also want to call up Doug right now. That's okay.
Hello, Doug.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Hey, I actually teach in entrepreneurial science courses as well as am a VC and a private angel investor. But I'm just kind of curious because you guys all have very different backgrounds and you have companies that are doing very different things. How did you guys get involved in each of your respective startups? And what's the one lesson that you've learned that you would pass along to the next generation?
I'm a second, this is my second startup. I'm a glutton for punishment. I forgot how much it hurts. The one lesson is perseverance, determination, and the ability to listen to your stakeholders and your investors.
That's very true.
Yeah, so this is my third startup. I enjoy building and creating and trying to target something around a corner and kind of tracking that. I'd say one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that 90% of this is tenacity and putting your head down once you have an idea and put your blinders on and stay focused. So.
So this is my second startup. I got into this actually. My first startup was more just pure tech before the dot-com crash and email marketing and marketing technology. And then I was diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury that got me interested in health. I think what I've learned is optimism. When you believe in something and you know you can help people, there's a way to do it. So optimism, keep moving forward, and things work out. It's pretty amazing.
By the way, we have Sean from Genomind here too, if anyone wants to ask questions to him as well. So
I could say this is my second startup, and I have to say it's a grueling process to put a pitch deck together. But to really actually surround yourself with like minds and be able to really foster and not double over on talent, and be able to really pigeonhole and look at the vertical markets and be able to pull them together. Is my success.
Thank you. That's great.
Amanda, do you want to go over again really quick how people can raise their hand in order to tell us they want to ask a question?
At the bottom of your screen, there should be an icon that says reactions with a little smiley face. If you click on that, there's an option to raise hand. If you do that, you'll pop to the top of the list and we'll know that you have a question or a comment.
Also, we would love for everyone involved here to be on Clubhouse. We will make you a moderator on Clubhouse. Trust me, it will be well worth it. The amount of investors on Clubhouse is many investors. So I highly recommend being on Clubhouse. If you don't have that downloaded, if you're a company, this is primarily to companies, but also investors. We want investors to join as well. But the one word that comes to mind when it comes to Clubhouse for me is ubiquity, getting known by a lot of people and a lot of investors and getting exposure. Yes, download Clubhouse. So this is the tricky part about Clubhouse. If you do not get an invite to Clubhouse, you cannot enter unless you're let in by someone or get a specific invite. So my idea is, or my strategy is to get you guys just to download Clubhouse. And for whatever reason, if you can't get into Clubhouse, then message one of my team members and we'll try to get you in. But normally how it works is if you have someone in your network that's within Clubhouse, they can let you in. It's an invite only app. So it's a little bit harder to get into Clubhouse. But I want to ask Kate what her experience has been with Clubhouse. You've been in Clubhouse. We met through Clubhouse, by the way, Kate. So can you give me an idea as to your experience in Clubhouse?
What Clubhouse platform provides is real-time speaking with the experts in their field. And it's a new venue where everyone's bringing their talent to the table for the betterment of refining your skill sets and bringing you up in areas that you have some questions about. You may have gone to the professional community to go get it, but actually Clubhouse allows you to tap into that and ask questions, and very interactive. And it's very organic. It's fairly new, and just to give you an idea, it can be an energy vampire because once you get in on it, you kind of you stick with it and you're in it for long periods of time. But I can assure you, I met Frank through it, and so it does work. So tenacity comes to play, but you learn a lot along the way, and you meet interesting of like minds or of other talents as well. So I highly recommend that you join and be able to spend a little bit of time on it so you understand the protocols and how the rest of the rooms work. Frank will navigate the one for tomorrow very successfully. He's been on it quite a bit, but it's a venue that is very fruitful.
I'd also like to, Frank, quickly hop in on this. So I suggest the app is free, download Clubhouse, register, and even if you don't have an invite, someone off the app who has your contact information can let you in off the wait list. So we can try to figure out how to get you an invite, but there's also another way. So make sure you download the app today. It's a little black and white icon. Download the app, register, and see if someone lets you in that's already currently on the app. I mean, Kate and Frank have already spoken to the excellence that is Clubhouse. I live on there. In fact, being on Zoom is taking away from my time on Clubhouse, which I'm slightly resentful for. So I'm a big advocate for Clubhouse.
Leah has 106,000 followers. She's
113,000, but okay.
113,000.
And I mean, I work in entertainment, and I have already gotten many job offers off of working on Clubhouse, and so it's the same for every industry. Every single industry is flourishing on there.
Jennifer and Andrew have questions, so let's start with Jennifer first.
Hi, can you hear me? Yes. So is this the app? Is this the app? Is that the right Clubhouse?
I don't think so. No.
Because I'm trying to install it on my phone right now.
I'll show you what it looks like really quick.
Can everyone hear me all right? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Adrian, yes.
Okay, just making sure. I just posted in the chat our conference day 3, which has a link to Clubhouse. And I want to quickly clarify that we know it's not always great form to say, hey, join us here, but not everyone can get in. Clubhouse has been really successful, which is why we want to host day 3 there, but they blew up and they haven't even launched yet. That's why it's only available on iOS and not yet on Android, and that's why they're kind of limiting users a little bit so that it doesn't get flooded. So register. Each person that does register has, I think, 2 invites, which is why we can't just send a bunch of invites out to everyone. But join us. We would love to have you. But we understand. Can you get onto Clubhouse? Because I have an Android, so I can't download it. Can I get onto it through my laptop?
No.
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 It works on the iPhone and the iPad only.
Okay.
All right. So
sorry, but we didn't design it that way.
Yeah, we didn't design it that way. But Andrew, do you have a question for any of the presenting companies?
I did. My name's Andrew. I'm from a family office, but I had a question for Sean O'Brien.
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. This may not be the best forum. It's a large group, but I've been meaning to ask you a question, just how you see your strategy evolving, particularly as it relates to going direct to the consumer segment versus going through the clinical, getting people to prescribe, to mental health professionals to prescribe your product.
Yeah, well, it's, as you know, the healthcare market is becoming consumerized quite dramatically. Everybody's being asked to pay more out of their own pocket and make more decisions. So for us, it's really a natural, and it gives us an opportunity, bringing this direct product, non-prescription, to access the market and create recurring revenue for lifetime. So we're hooked up with Amazon.com. We have our own website, www.mentalhealthmap.com, and then we're in the middle of partnerships with several different box stores and for distribution models. But our intent, what was driving us is that we want to become the mental health company and provide tools and services that improve the outcome and save money for consumers and the payers, and provide healthcare and wellness journeys. And it was a natural for us to evolve into this marketplace. So we're now, our go-to-market strategies with employers. We have employers talking to us and asking for our services. We have, consumers, and that consumer product, most of our business right now is being driven by the professionals who have used our prescription product and love this test, and are using it to augment how they give therapy to their patients on a daily basis. So, my job here is really to build up the mental health company, and this is
going to give us an entry to capture everybody. This is a test that we believe everybody should get in their lifetime. Does that help you, Andrew?
Yeah, no, that's helpful. And then I guess, are you, are you looking to play a role on, because someone gets the results are going to show them where they have, genetically where they may be exposed to issues, and then obviously people are going to want to do something with that.
Sure. So we have a team of brain trust advisors, and we also have geneticist consultants on our team. And so when you do the test, free with the free consult, and they get a consult, and then we have the ability to direct them to professional help if they need a psychiatrist or a psychologist to move on. But the great thing is that they can initiate their self-directed mental wellness journey without the stigma associated of getting lined up with a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And that we're finding that really opens up the market and allows more people to seek help sooner than traditionally in the marketplaces today.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sean.
Welcome.
So I see.
Kate, I have a question for you on your strategy to go to an IPO. If this is your $5 million round, a lot of us, Sean's been done this 3 times. This is my 5th time as a CEO. I've done one public, I've done one IPO myself. A lot of times you need the investors, what we call the crossover investors, that the Perceptives, OrbiMeds of the world, that will invest into you in whatever series and support you going public. Unless you go through public through a SPAC, it's pretty hard to go from a company that doesn't have so-called professional investors, the street, so to speak, and make an IPO. How do you see that happening? You're muted, Kate.
Sorry. Interesting question, and I've spent the last 6 months like really diving in on that. This is the things that happen on Clubhouse when you really get dive in and ask what the nitty gritty is going on. This is how the format goes, and people try to be as truthful as they can and give you their experiences. So interestingly enough, the spectrum has changed as far as investment wise. Just with COVID, everything's kind of like churned up. So the rules that were before really kind of like you have to polish them a bit, and they've polished more for the SPACs. So there's double the amount of SPACs these days, right? Correct? And
more than double, way more than double.
Yeah, right, whatever. I mean, so they've gone. So that it's writing a blank checkbook for them. The IPO market, which interesting enough, when we went for equity crowdfunding, we have to register with the SEC. So 3/4 of the paperwork that's even needed for the IPO has already been completed. So it's pretty expensive to go with going pre-IPO and IPO, and so it's fairly amount of dollars. But those dollars have already been spent with us, so we are able to move into groups that saying, all right, we see the potential in you, that we will go ahead and do the fortifying and work and be able to get it so it's listed and pre-listed at least, and that so that they see the carrot, and so they're able to step up into it. So we've had 3 organizations come to us with that. So that's why I had to really step back and really dig in and find out like what does it take to get there, and what are the options that we have? Why would you take that move? And then say, okay, I think we're a little bit pre for SPAC, because you really just need to have a little bit more. So once you have the validation so that you're able to bring in some revenue with it, that we might be looking at doing a SPAC, but for right now, I can't speak to that until we get to that stage. But having that equity crowdfunding, because quote unquote, we already have to register with the SEC every time we bring on an investor, that did a lot of our groundwork for us.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Aaron has a question. Aaron Steinberg.
He's muted.
This is a question for both, I guess, Moshe and Sean, the other Sean Ring. Can you talk a little bit more about what you think the reimbursement will be for your solutions?
Sure. I think that's a great question. And I think that the most honest answer is that there will definitely be reimbursements. The technology is way ahead of the reimbursement landscape. And I think one of the best things that's happened to the whole digital health industry has been COVID, because the whole reimbursement for telehealth is just moving much faster than it has been before. So we have a SaaS side and we have a hardware side. There's could be reimbursements on the consumer side, reimbursements on the provider side. There are reimbursement mechanisms in place already now, for the conditions in our case with diabetic neuropathy and osteoarthritis that we can tap into in terms of codes. But my sense is that there will be new solutions available, within a couple of years that will be, more lucrative and more appropriate for the whole digital health industry.
Yeah, I'll add to that. Moshe's statements are true. I think December 4th, compensation became law that started March 20th. March 20th was a temporary where you compensate the digital at the same rate that you're compensating brick and mortar visits. That got extended August 4th and then became part of the law in Medicaid, Medicare on December 4th. So now we're moving into a season where the compensation for telehealth is equal to that of brick and mortar visits. So you're getting the same thing with regards to what was taking place in brick and mortar. They expect that to grow over the course of the next year to 2 years, simply to encourage remote healthcare and these rural area healthcare initiatives. On top of that, they're looking to compensate for equipment in the home or equipment in care. And we're working right now with regulation to try to figure out a method by which, when the doctors want to include more vital tools, how to get that compensated in insurance pays, and what does that take? How does that take place? Our current financials were projected on pre-COVID numbers, and we sat in an insurance copay environment that allowed for the doctors to then be able to duplicate 5 sessions at once. They could do the same thing in a digital space, being compensated the same thing they were being compensated in brick and mortar, and keeping that rate into something they already know. But it's growing, and we expect that. Again, I was talking about the $250 billion market expanse. That's part of it, as well as the compensation for equipment.
So you're also looking at a DME, like durable medical equipment?
For senior home healthcare, yes. I actually head out to Omaha in 2 weeks to look at a partner. I'm working with a partner to put together a mobile unit that could go in from room to room and not necessarily be implanted. And it has sensor technology in with the tablet, and it has a UI that's very simple, very easy, and we're not having to support a bunch of equipment through phones and tablets in that case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have any other questions, Aaron, before we move on to Daniel?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Daniel, do you have a question for Kate? And then also want to invite anyone else to raise their hand to ask questions to our presenting companies.
Thanks, Frank. Kate, I've got 2 questions for you, but first I apologize if this has already been asked and you've covered it, because I had to drop off for a few minutes earlier. My 2 questions are, one, you talked about the part of your product development roadmap involves a full heart transplant with a 4D printed heart. What sort of timelines are we talking about? Because you mentioned that in Israel they were ready to go, but it sounds like this may be a couple of more years down the road. Second question was, you said that you made a comment earlier that you never ever have to get FDA approval for anything. I was a little bit surprised. Maybe it's a misunderstanding on my part. What were you referring to? Could you clarify?
Okay, so to address the transplant market, currently right now we're scheduled to have full-size transplant in 6 years. And what we're doing and how we're doing that is that we've scaled down the mini heart. And it's a miniature version of the human heart, which is a scaled down version, but it's not a complete for a transplantable for an animal or a baby or such. So then we build the pieces and parts, and we have already had the prototypes in play for the patches and filed for that. We have a prototype that we have not filed for the valves and for the bypass. And ultimately, the human heart, that study and development is going to be done in Israel. And why I say Israel is because the state of Israel currently does not believe in transplantation because for religious reasons, you can't kill a life to save a life. So they have asked us to be part of building out for a transplant center in Israel and in conjunction with the University of Tel Aviv. And so Dr. Morgan, and that's part of his responsibility as well as BioLife, but also building out a transplant center there. So we are keeping that in timeline of when we're going to be implementing, and they're going to be doing the animal studies in Israel. And so they're now building out the laboratories for that. And on average, it takes you anywhere from usually 4 to 5 years to build out a transplant center. Anyways, it fits right in timeline what we have. So we're thinking that Dr. Morgan will be doing the first transplant. And so that's the timeline that we're moving forward on for the transplantation sector. And that, as far as when you say we don't need to go for FDA approval, we're envisioning that. So for the patches, the valves, and the bypass, we have targeted all partners that we want to partner with that are respectively in their own avenues of just being in the valve business, just being in the patch business. They don't really necessarily, just give you an example. Let's just take Abbott. Abbott is the second, or Edwards is for valves. Edwards is the top, then Abbott, then and Medtronics. All three of them had discussions with them. They don't really want to know what we're doing with the mini heart, as long as when we get to the valves, they want to know the valve market, so they want to take it. And it's going to change their paradigm within their industry, and they all know it. Because if you have a cow, a pig, or a mechanical, or you can choose a patient's own heart, you're going to have a much more survival rate, and then is reduction in amount of surgeries. So all have identified that that's going to be the next part of their if you want, as far as their product pipeline, they're going to incorporate that at some point in time. So they will take the heavy lift. So we will license it to them. So when I say that we're not going to in front of the FDA, I will share data for the mini heart with the FDA, which they want to see, because it will become a gold standard for all pharmaceutical testing and academia testing, because it's not going to replace it right away. I envision that it's going to be a couple of years as it goes simultaneously going along with it. Eventually, if it's a better predictor, then the FDA advisory boards are going to require to go back and do testing on the human heart before there's going to be allowed to go into trials for human clinical trial studies. So it's more of like the benchmark that's needed, but it's not. They have said that we will not need FDA approval because they can't do FDA approval for animal hearts. So when we go into the patches and the valves and the grafts, that will all be the clinical will then go with the pharma to take with that and become licensing agreements. Full size human heart, most likely what's going to take it on is the state of Israel will take that on. Is what they want to do.
Okay, thank you. One follow-on question: is it 6 years to first in human or 6 years to commercialization?
I'm going to say 6 years in human.
For the transplant, first in human. Thank you.
We'll have to do animal studies and such in this, so we're preparing to do the animal studies prior to and then human. I'm going to be there, and why this is so interesting is that I'm going to be there for the first heart transplant because my husband was one of the key people who came up with immunosuppressant therapy. So this is full circle for me. So if patients can get heart transplants and not have to take drugs, and they don't have to trade one disease for the other, that's why I'm in this. So that's the end goal for us and there's milestones and everyone's a win-win-win along the way, but if we can provide a heart transplant for the patients that are waiting there and they can get a transplant without having to take immunosuppressant therapy or corticosteroids, that's a win-win-win for me.
Thank you. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you.
Awesome. We just had Dr. Clinton also jump in as well. Do we have any other people that want to ask a question? If you want to ask a question, go ahead and raise your hand here. Hold on one second. Gibran, Venn Pro Partners. Sorry, I'm not sure. Can we also spotlight everyone that all the presenting companies? Pejman wants to also ask a question. So happy to bring you up, Pejman. Amanda, are you still here?
I'm here, but he does not have his camera on, so I cannot spotlight him.
Yeah, you gotta have your.
Frank, this is Gabron. I didn't have my hand up, but just want to let you know I'm enjoying the conversation.
Oh, sure. Go ahead and spotlight Pejman and then also Gibran as well after this. Go ahead and ask your question, Pejman.
Hi, I have a question for David. Who do you see as your main competitors in the work that you guys are doing?
There's really only a couple places that have this synthetic biology of natural products capability. Warp Drive Bio was one of the originators of the technology. They got sold a couple different ways. The main technology is at Ginkgo Bioworks and us commercially. There's other ways of doing this. There's old school ways that take several years, but the CRISPR-Cas9 in vitro technology is much faster, and there's only a couple of us doing that.
So how are you specifically different than Amyris, for instance?
Amyris is more of a modify the genome and drop in genes into genomes onesies at a time and whole genome modifications. We're concentrating on a pathway, and we yank it out really rapidly in vitro and put it into heterologous hosts and modify it in vitro. They're more in vivo based technologies. And that's part of the reason why it takes so much longer is it's more serial as opposed to, you can do a lot more in parallel with our in vitro methods.
Thank you.
If that makes sense.
I have a question from Derek.
Hey, thanks. Questions for Clint. Clint, how are you? Derek Kung.
Good.
I was wondering, your model, is it, are you actually providing the remote patient monitoring services for employers, payers, hospitals, or are you kind of packaging it with the actual provider visit, the telehealth visit, the continuum of care, or is the RPM solution also kind of a separate platform, separate?
Well, there's two components to that. So in our service to employers and in some of the facilities, it's a package deal. So they use the kits for the remote patient monitoring come to supplement and augment the provider visits, as well as to stand alone with a chronic condition patient that's in the chronic care management program. And then it's also distinctly sold as a separate unit as a SaaS only to providers. And those providers
So you actually have
all levels of providers.
You actually have the platform and the kits combined, and then the provider may actually they'll be separately billed. They'll be billing the whatever the 99.
Correct. So our main focus is our service to employers, and our value proposition to employers is that we focus on the 20% that spend the most money by using these kits. The kit is this with the devices in it. The devices are all connected to the cloud. Either in the employer market, mostly we rely on the employees using their own cell phones. In the Medicare patient model, we rely on cell phones or a hub for connectivity. And And then again, like in the provider market, it's an independent SaaS service though.
Got it. In the employer market, are you, sorry, one last question. In the employer market, are you then providing something not only with docs, but then with nurses and other health coaches to if you
So we have, I mean, that's obviously a part of our program that we're building out more and more all the time. But right now we have a nutritionist, exercise therapist, case manager, and of course docs. There's also they're able to access I mean, we could get into this. I don't want to get too granular. We could get into more detail offline on that, but there's a whole library of educational materials that they can access that's delivered up to them based on their diagnoses and use of the devices.
Great, thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you, Derek. Really appreciate it. Do you have any other questions for any of?
Good question.
Oh, oops. All right. All right. Does anyone else have a question as well? Glenn, I see Jennifer's on. All right. I want to ask you guys. So let me ask you guys who has Clubhouse currently here. Clint has Clubhouse. I know. Clinton. Kay has Clubhouse. Moshe, do you have Clubhouse?
Not yet.
David has Clubhouse. Sean.
But I love the strategy. It reminds me of the early days of Gmail.
Yeah, but it's way better than that though. So, Sean, do you have Clubhouse?
I do.
Sean
Yep,
Ring,
I have it.
Sean O'Brien, do you have Clubhouse?
To unmute myself. I do not have it yet. I tried to load it on my PC and then I found out it was I'll have to do it on my iPad.
If you do not have Clubhouse, our sponsor Micra will potentially provide you invites. We're going to set up, I have to teach them how to actually send out invites, but they said they're willing to invite some of the companies here. So if you don't have an invite yet, Micra, our sponsor, can actually help with that. All right. Jennifer, do you have a question?
So, but I don't have a iPhone. I have an Android, so I can't go even if I got invited.
Sorry, let me clarify. Yeah, I keep forgetting. If you have an Android, you cannot use Clubhouse. That's
and I can't use my computer.
And you can't use your computer. No.
All right.
This should teach everyone a lesson. Get an iPhone. Get an Apple iPhone. Just kidding.
This statement has not been endorsed by PCs.
All right, Glenn, do you want to ask a question? I see that you're on here. Happy to have you on if you want to ask a question.
No, not at the moment, but good to be on.
No worries, no worries, no problem. Jabron, did you get a chance to ask a question?
No, I didn't. I had a great conversation with Sean O'Brien. I'm going to follow up with Kate on a separate channel, but certainly enjoyed this forum. I'm new to the first CapCon Zoom, so found it insightful. Definitely looking forward to the next one.
I can speak having done this, I don't know, I think at Frank's first one. This is night and day difference from the first one, Frank.
That was the third one, by the way.
Okay. Well, dramatic, and Leah does a good job too.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're there. I didn't even know you're there.
She's always going to sneak up on people. No.
I'm always here, even when you're not watching.
I like
Frank, are we taking additional questions or can I go into closing remarks?
You can go into closing remarks unless we have somebody that really wants to ask a question. All right, we can go into closing remarks currently. And you need to show up. I just want to say this one thing. You need to show up to Clubhouse tomorrow. There's going to be at least 300 to 1,000 people in there. There's going to be a ton of investors. DreamIt Ventures comes to our conferences and they invested in Clubhouse. So you need to be in Clubhouse. I guarantee you're going to get more value from Clubhouse than anything else.
So I'm on my Apple, purchase. And, there's Clubhouse social networking. There's Clubhouse intuitive project management. What does it look like?
It's a black and white icon, and it says Clubhouse drop-in audio.
Got it. With a
Careful, Sean. Swiping left or right could get you in trouble these days.
I don't do that. Thank you.
Trust me, you want to be on. We will make you a moderator in Clubhouse, but you definitely want to be on. Make sure you get your Instagram connected to Clubhouse too, because that's how people will message you. And what we'll do is I'll encourage people to message all of the companies to talk with them further outside of Clubhouse in the Instagram chat DMs. So make sure that you have your Instagram connected. Trust me, there's a lot of investors on this platform. It's like the closest thing to a live conference as possible. So the way it works, let me just clarify this, and then we'll have Leah do the closing remarks. The way it works is almost like a live conference, but it's an audio format only. So the audience can talk to people on stage. People on stage can be removed from the stage. And then also people on stage can be considered a moderator, which is somebody that can both make other people moderators, put people on stage, and move people back to the audience as well. So it works like a real live conference, but it's in an audio format only. Again, a live conference only in audio format. A live in-person conference.
It's like Zoom with no video component.
It's like Zoom with no video component, but the ability to get a ton of people in the same room as you in your target.
Also no chat component.
Yeah. So I'll tell you this much. I've done multiple rooms in Clubhouse, and we've had many investors come on stage. Many investors. So if you're a company, be there. If you're an investor, there's going to be a ton of companies. We'll probably have 50 or so companies presenting in that Clubhouse room, 50 to 100, I think, which is interesting. It's all going to be like healthcare focused. So you definitely want to make that. All right, I'll let Leah do closing remarks here.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, everyone, that concludes pitching for today, and we'll start pitching again tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific on Clubhouse. All booths will be open for further one-on-one time with companies such as Sean O'Brien at Genomind, Micra, Heather Potters of PharmaJet, and Dr. Clinton Baird of Cura Digital Health Solutions, and they'll be in the same room, as well as the CapCon communications room for help with scheduling appointments with any of the presenters you've seen here today. Rooms will be open for about 20 minutes after the conference. If you'd like to sponsor a future event or present at a future event, please find the link in the chat or contact us directly in the CapCon management room. Thank you so much. Okay, it is now an honor and a pleasure to announce the winner of the 5th CapCon. And like I mentioned, there will be an additional winner tomorrow specifically for the Clubhouse CapCon. I want to once again thank all presenting teams for their valuable insight, presentation, and judging sessions, as well as the judges that made the event such an incredible success. We look forward to having you again at our future conferences. All right, without further ado, the winner of the 5th CapCon is Richard Hanbury at Sana Health. Sana is the first device that is able to treat all the major compounding comorbidities of chronic pain, anxiety, depression, and sleep issues. The device is worn in a reclined position for 16 minutes per session and guides the user into a state of deep relaxation or sleep. Clinical efficacy was shown in pain, anxiety, depression, and sleep. Congratulations, Richard. We wish you all a wonderful rest of the day and look forward to having you join us in our next conference, either tomorrow on Clubhouse at 12 p.m. Pacific or the next CapCon in April. I've been Leah Lamar. It has been an honor to MC for you for the last 2 days, and we'll see you tomorrow on Clubhouse. Have a wonderful evening. The booths and breakout rooms are now open, and I will see you all soon.
Hey, Leah.
Yes.
So you were starting your closing remarks, and all of a sudden, it took me automatically to my breakout room, and Gilbron was there. And he said, "What happened? How did you do that, John?" I said, "I did nothing. It just automatically took me to my breakout with Gilbron, and he's back here now."
I had a similar experience, thrown into a different break room.
So it was weird.
I have no idea why that happened. But Yeah,
Are
Sean.
are the breakout rooms available now
Yeah,
again?
yes, they're open now. So you can head over to your breakout room. If you just go to join over.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Gil, why don't we go back to the room and, because
Yeah, go in there right now.
All right,
Bye, Sean.
thanks.
Leah, this is Dave. The only breakout rooms that I see are from yesterday's presenting companies.
That's correct.
Okay.
So it's not allowing me to join, actually. I go to join. Interesting.
Amanda or Andrew, are you there to help them?
Yep, they should be open now.
Yeah, rooms are open. Everyone should have access to any room they want to go to.
Yeah, interesting.
They were closed earlier. They are now open.
So if you hover your mouse over the number, it'll turn to the word join and just hit that and it'll send you there.
Got that. Yeah, that's how I did the first time. And it pops up with join. I see Sean's in there and I hit the button that says join, but after that it doesn't do anything. So
Amanda,
let me leave this and see if it, if I leave this, it says leave meeting.
well, Amanda, are you able to move him manually?
Because I see Sean's in there.
Which room did you want to go to?
He would like to go to Sean's room.
Genomind. It says 2. And I don't know but it doesn't show me in there.
You're already assigned to that room, so we can't put you back in it. You have to join it manually. And the join button is not working for you?
Correct. Yeah, I do. If I go down the bottom and hit breakout rooms and then go to that one particularly, it shows that Sean is in it. It says 2 by the Genomind.
Right.
And
Put
then
your mouse over the number 2.
I did. Yep. And then it pops up with the join or cancel. And I hit join and nothing happens. I'm still here. So let me hit cancel and see if that is something that's.
Made you a co-host. See if it works now.
Would it matter if I'm in Spotlight? I see a little upper left-hand side that says remove Spotlight.
Nope. Doesn't matter.
No. Yeah.
Can you try joining Clinton Baird's room? Maybe that'll cancel out whatever's happening here with this bug.
Yeah,
you should
let
be
me
able
try
to
that.
join any room. Yeah, it's strange. Yeah, that worked.